going back right to the beginning of the episode, so we've wrapped up all the technical questions that I had for you in any way related to tech or AI. But right at the beginning of this conversation, we talked about how you did this master's in neurotechnology at Imperial College London. I'd love to just know, a brief overview of what you were doing in neurotech research back then.
Yeah, so it was a broader biotech master's, and what we were studying a lot of was the signal process. It was a lot of signal processing from brain waves for things like controlling robotic arms. So one thing that you're probably honestly like much better suited to actually talk about this than I am at this stage. But you have like these chip implants that would be implanted like monkeys, and the idea was like you'd control a mechanical arm to eventually help people who have disabilities, and so you'd be studying the brain waves, right? And that's incredibly complex because you're dealing with like literally billions of connections, and the signal's anything but clear. And so that's a lot of signal processing where you're sort of trying to separate the signal from the noise. So like even if you, for example, have someone that's kind of like has their eyes open and you're asking to control an arm, it's like, is that signal, is their brain reacting to what they're seeing at the time, or is their brain reacting to them trying to control the arm? So there's a lot of that. And actually, but I actually specialized in something a little bit different, which was image processing. So I did my research on using image processing to try to detect early onset Alzheimer's by looking at brain scans. So one of the earliest signs you can get from or physiological signs, I should say, because like there are some other like markers that you can look at now that I think it's much more advanced than it was even back 10 years ago. But back then, one of the early signs you could look at was the brain shrinking, and the brain shrinking size was way too subtle for a doctor to catch early on. So you'd catch it eventually over multiple months, but by that time it was too late. It's hard to say because it's hard to reverse Alzheimer's, but you can maybe like even slow it down. And so the idea was to use image processing to like try to detect like the slightest nuance shrinkage in brain size at the very or in the very early days.
Nice. And so then maybe you can have interventions, medication starting sooner for people
Yeah.
in those kinds of scenarios.
Yeah, I love that stuff. It's so hard. But yeah, if you can do that early. I'm also very passionate about Alzheimer's. Had a lot of I shouldn't say a lot, but I've had family members impacted, and so that was very interesting research for me. And I think there's been like so much progress even since then. That was 10 years ago, and I see kind of like amazing things coming out. So huge kudos to anyone working on that area. I think it's a fantastic research area.
Yeah, and hopefully AI can play a role in accelerating this. And just kind of generally as a society, the more and more and more that we can automate having nutrition for people on the planet, having a roof
Absolutely.
to cover our heads, having security, that's more and more and more people that can be doing research and coming up with solutions, working with AI to have solutions faster.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of anyone working on like hard tech. I mean, there's some hard problems out there to be solved around medicine, agriculture. And so, again, kudos to anyone working on that. I'm also very founder friendly. So if anyone's listening to this and you're a founder working on that space, I'm more than happy to connect and see what I can do to help you on your journey.